Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch Open Division Season 2 broadcast, brought to you here by Broadcast.gg. I am Evie HamTornado Fung, and will be your host for today's tournaments on the EU side. And I will be joined on the desk by our effervescent and lovely analyst, Xander Blank Munro. How are you doing, bud?
I'm good. Yeah. It's going to be a good day. Got some good teams here with NYYRIKKI and Gamers. Interesting
looking
team.
to be a very solid lineup for sure. Awesome. And just as a little bit of an introduction for viewers who aren't as familiar with us, Blank and I are both part of the amateur casting community at Broadcast.gg. So at Broadcast.gg, we are a community of esports broadcasters for the broadcasters. We're all amateurs over here. We're trying to build a community, constantly creating new opportunities for exposure and practice, just like this one. And we collaborate with each other, try and give each other feedback, and so we can improve our game, through iteration. And so if you guys also share that love of esports, please feel free to join our Discord. You can check out the link in the panel below. But now let's turn our attention to this tournament. So Open Division, for as many viewers know, is the first step in the Overwatch path to pro. So the top competitors at the end of this tournament will be feeding into contenders trials. So Blank, what can you tell us about the tournament format here? It is definitely worth noting that the EU side, very popular. I believe we have over 1,000 teams signed up. So how do you kind of manage and work through a bracket that large?
Well, like you say, 1,000 teams so far. It's a monumental figure. So we will be obviously using the Swiss format there to get through that as soon as possible. For this specific event, Season 2 Open Division inaugural season, we're going to have a best of 5 format. So each game can have best of 5s going through, and we have available map pool control. We've got Ilios here, Oasis, Escort, Dorado, and Jugtown, Assault, Hanamura, and Volskaya, and on Hybrid, Kings Row, a love map by the EU guys, Numbani and Blizzard World.
Yeah, so teams will definitely have the pick of the litter, whatever kinds of maps that they really want. I do believe it's once the first map is picked, then it's loser's choice. So, kind of that traditional format that we are a little bit used to. And so speaking of the two teams that we'll be seeing right off the bat in today's first match, NYYRIKKI Esports, that Finnish team, versus Gamers. So the teams were kind enough to provide a little bit of information for us so we can kind of see perhaps what we might be expecting moving on into these matches. And now NYYRIKKI Esports, this will be a name familiar to those of us who have been following the EU T3 scene. We've seen them compete before in the ESL Go for Overwatch EU Cup weeklies and monthly tournaments. And so what can you tell us about this team, Blank?
So NYYRIKKI, they've been playing since January 4th. They recently signed Baito onto the team, who is one of the players for ENTS. Their average team SR is 4,300, so they're by no means a terrible team whatsoever. These guys are looking to come with a force of fury into this match because they're good. They're good.
Yeah, and I mean, NYYRIKKI, they've certainly proven themselves. They have a history of great play in the EU scene. Now, Gamers, we know a lot less about this team, and it's also a considerably younger team.
Yeah, but these guys, they have the higher SR here. They're 4,500. By no means a indication of whether they will win this map or not. A lot of these players, they are on former teams before, so each player is an oiled cog to their own. Depends how well they will work with each other, but I assume we will be going to game very shortly here. Ham?
Yes, and it looks like our teams are ready and raring to go. Enough of the talking heads over here. Time for the meat and potatoes of this broadcast. Let's throw it over to our first map, Ilios, with our lovely casters, also repping the UK, OneAmongstMany and RyanCentral. Take it away, guys.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Overwatch Open Division. It's good to have you with us. Of course, I am Josh, one amongst many Pemberton, and joined by my friend, RyanCentral over there. And we're getting started here with a beautiful map on sunny Ilios between these two teams, NYYRIKKI and the Gamers. Finland versus Russia as well, I do believe. These teams, I think it's NYYRIKKI that's Finnish, and Gamers are pretty much all Russian, so should be a little bit of national pride in line as well.
near enough. The weather has been like this in Britain as well. Apart from Bristol, it's just started raining. But regardless, we are here on Ilios. Control map first games. I'm very excited for this. The Open Division is a good way to see some of the up-and-coming teams coming through as well. NYYRIKKI missed out narrowly from getting into contenders with a 7-3 result, I believe. So it wasn't quite enough, but it was still fairly decent. They're just getting ready, deciding what they're going to be picking for this next push. But in this kind of meta, Widowmaker won Ruins. That's pretty much how we're expected to go. And Skipper is locking her in almost instantly.
Yep, so let's see if Skipper can find anything with this Widowmaker as the gates do open. They start ranging forward. Widowmaker play, of course, very, very pivotal here on Ilios Ruin, so they're just going to look for some kind of angle at the moment. Looking for a quick pick, manages to land a single shot, looking for even more at the moment as tanks start to engage on that front line. Not really too much blood so far. Beautiful headshot, but there's the first blood. Actually, Leopard goes down, so the Winston dropping down. Beautiful shot there onto Concha as well. Will drop there as kill feed does start lining up there with some of the red gamers actually getting the better of it as they continue to advance towards this Widowmaker, putting pressure on it at the moment. But it looks like they might be the ones in control of the point at the moment, so they're just starting to flip that one over. And it looks like, yes, gamers will, no, not just barely. They're still being contested at the moment, but it looks like there goes the first score. It's actually just going to continue this fight going on as it's contested literally on a hair's breadth. Still waiting for a couple of kills coming forward out of Skipper. It looks like they managed to get one, but there's the flip, and it looks like gamers have managed to flip.
In fights like that, coalescence could be a major difference. Surprising that they're running Moira on this part. Usually you typically see Zenyatta in this meta, but looking at what gamers are running, it's very conventional. Triple tanks with quad tanks actually rather, with the Moira, so it does work out rather well. Maybe NYYRIKKI trying to play the meta too much. Gamers just go in for a bit of a kidney shot almost by playing quad tanks this early on. NYYRIKKI need to respond to this. They do have a pulse bomb, which they do use in the crowd, but it doesn't quite get the tanks that they're looking for.
Yeah, not quite getting the results there at the moment. It's this meaty quad tank on the point. It's trying to get something done. Skipper's still looking for a couple of shots in there, but you see Leopard going down on the point. Is just gets removed once again, but Skipper finding the shots, deletes the Diva, and it looks like they will flip it back for themselves. So they figured out, hey, the enemy team is running that quad tank comp. We know how to handle that. We'll just pick it apart, and it looks like they've managed to take the advantage for themselves.
And you're looking at the ultimate economy as well from NYYRIKKI that have almost all of them ready. Beta obviously using the pulse bomb in that final fight as well, so they're kind of just sitting peacefully right now. They've got all of their ultimates ready. Gamers have a few. The Earth shot is going to be prevalent here as well, so they just need to be a little bit careful, but they do have a lot of stuff lined up just in case they need it.
Yeah, gamers moving straight on the point. Have to scramble pretty much instantly as that self-destruct does go through. Urshada managing to catch at least one. Sambaray comes out, but it's a little bit too late, actually. There's two people already down on the side of NYYRIKKI at the moment, so they have to be a little bit careful. V-Bomb goes up in the air, doesn't find anything, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Fated, though, continuing to be a terror on this Roadhog on the point, just causing so many problems. The fat man himself is destroying people left, right, and center as that Reinhardt just scoots up all the kills. And again, the tanks from gamers just roll onto the point.
And if you have a few contingency plans with that too, I mean, we're seeing the Primal Rage at Concha's ready, another Coalescence from Diker to go with it, so you have a couple of plans just in case things start to go badly for them. NYYRIKKI do have a few ultimates, a Transcendence, but really they're going to be aggressive here, running the Junkrat Beta switched over a while ago and almost has a Riptide ready, using the Transcendence to be a little bit more aggressive, but they're still looking for that pick.
Yeah, they're still hungry for all these kills at the moment. Whole Hog comes out of Fated, just blows people back a little bit. Meanwhile, we do see the Zenyatta just looking for an angle. Sights now up for Skipper. Can he find any targets, though? Winston has managed to drop at the very least, but he needs to get a couple more. Huge Riptide at the Beta, though, might have just opened this up for the team as he managed to get a twofer with that one. And now it's just Fated left on the point. He's picked off no problem. Diva met and destroyed, ladies and gents, as the point once again flips to NYYRIKKI's favor. No, Winston comes in, actually going to try a stall here. Does have that Discord on him, will drop down very, very quickly as he does actually, oh no, he doesn't quite get away. Looks like Brookie is the one to scoop up that final blow.
Gamers are going to be fairly comfortable though. They do have another Coalescence and do have the Earth Shatter ready for this next push. And only 10% left to get, so realistically maybe 2 engagements, 1 definitely. So NYYRIKKI are just wanting to hold out as much as possible. But look how quickly Beto is getting these Riptides. This is why Junkrat is so good against quad tanks. There's so many beefy targets that he can fire a lot of charge into. And it's not the PTI yet, so he's got pretty beefy grenades, and he's going to throw that Riptide out now. Trying to get a pick before this fight even began. Actually does get it onto Impulse, so this is looking pretty good for NYYRIKKI, who go in against the Coalescence.
At the moment, it looks like there's still a bit of a brawl in the fight. Urshada comes down but doesn't catch anything. And there's the Transcendence as well coming out of Brookie. Going to keep people nice and safe. Even covers Johnsoni as he picks up that res. Lebedev just knocks the Reinhardt for a loop as well. And that is the end of that fight, ladies and gents. NYYRIKKI still in control. Coming up to the last fight here.
And and they're gonna be steady. Skyper's in a perfect position as the Widowmaker, has the sights as well, so wants to make sure they can get a pick onto one of the less beefy targets, less of the tanks, but he's putting suppressive fire down, making it so gamers have to rush onto the point. They have no other choice, and we're going to be seeing gamers doing that now. Constantly being charged, and it's overtime now. It's an aggressive push coming out from them with a Diva Bomb that does get Skyper, so this is a good opportunity for them to take the point and take this win.
Yeah, Domels does such a good job there, shutting down the whole hog. Baito getting himself a double kill as well with the Riptide, might be putting his team in a really strong position at the moment. We see the Moira use the Fade, hunting her down is going to be so vital at this point. There we is, she's vulnerable, she's down, ladies and gents. Sunset trying to stay alive, but it's actually managed to find a Junkrat trap on the point, so does get hunted down and killed. Domels is having a bit of a free time here at the moment, while Fated continues to actually survive, though, continues getting that damage out with that scrap cannon, and will continue just hunting and killing targets left, right, and center. We even have a Sombra coming out now to try and contest the point. We're on 99% to 99%, and now it's just a matter of the stall. But with these tanks on the point, there's just not enough there to actually get anything to clear them off. They just can't remove them. They can't sweep it up, and gamers will take the ruins. Not much Widow play, not as much Widow play as we expect, perhaps, but a lot of big meaty targets. Maybe it could be a sign of how gamers want to play this one in the future.
It poses a question to NYYRIKKI, right? Because gamers are running quad tanks, so guys, are you actually going to change up what is typically a de facto composition by running a Widowmaker on ruins? Or are you going to try and make it work? And we did see Skipper staying on the Widowmaker for quite some time, changing to Soldier in the end because he had to. So it's going to be a question whether gamers are going to stay on the quad tank and whether NYYRIKKI are going to respond. We see Beto actually locking into the Pharah, some hero that he's fairly comfortable on, likes to play and enjoys playing. So it's going to be a question of if these teams are going to be run as they are. It does look like gamers are going to still be running this quad tank. NYYRIKKI need to respond in a way, and they're doing exactly that by running a pharmacy competition because nobody can really deal with it on the side of gamers here.
Yeah, I really like this adaptation. They've sort of realized, hey, the enemy team wants to run quad tank, so we're just going to run that pharmacy and then try and rain some death from above. And instantaneously, Baito gets himself 2 beautiful shots, deletes the Moira, no problem. And this is going to set them up beautifully. You need that Moira providing all that healing for these tanks, and if you don't have that, it's so vulnerable. Now looking for a good angle here, has an angle on the Lucio, gets rid of the rest of the healing, and now it's just a bunch of tanks isolated on the point, surrounded, and getting pinned in, ladies and gents. They're having a really tough time surviving at the moment as Baito just continues slamming these rockets in, and with these meaty tanks, already has a barrage as well. Skipper also pretty good on that pulse bomb.
And you're looking at gamers here and you think that they have to change. They don't really have much. Fated is actually going to change over to the Tracer. A whole switch up if you're looking on the top right there. No hit scan though. They're just going to try and out pharmacy this combo with Sunset switching over to the Pharah for gamers. But they're so behind the ult economy because everybody's had to change their hero that they're playing on. So this is a case of, can NYYRIKKI outplay this kind of composition here? Gamers, we've only seen them on contact so far and they look fairly good at it. But now they're being completely countered here. It's just a case of whether NYYRIKKI can hold on to that and outplay gamers here, and they start with that by getting the first pick onto Sunset with Johnston as the Lucio, actually providing a little bit of projectile damage out there.
Yep, and beautiful barrage as well, goes right onto the back of that Mercy, just punishes her for trying to go for a cheeky res there. Baito is having just free reign in the skies here, ladies and gentlemen. It's looking so strong for them at the moment. Oh no, there's just a pause on Yada. Try and make it to the dropship, friend. Try and get there. Oh, you poor soul. There we go. He looks like he's going to be okay and regroup with his team. He's looking dire though so far for gamers.
Just sort of running back as quickly. Well, he doesn't really run, he just hovers. But NYYRIKKI looking very much in control here. They do have a few ultimates to boot. Gamers really struggling with a poke phase without just losing their main source of DPS, which would be Sunset with his pharmacy. He's going in for a bit of a high vertical flank because the tanks are actually going to just rush onto the point. NYYRIKKI haven't really responded yet, but now they've got to fight on point. This is exactly what they're going to do, and they even used the Lucio boost with the new voice line in Portuguese to aggressively push and make sure that they keep control of it.
Yeah, with that first blood on the Zenyatta as well, they have such a huge advantage in this fight. Fated just kills himself there on the Primal Raging Winston as well, so the bomb not quite getting the value there at the end of the day. And it's looking like NYYRIKKI are just in complete control of this lighthouse stage here, ladies and gents. They're so dominant on this pharmacy. They're finding picks constantly as well, keeping the pressure up, and it just feels like gamers haven't found their way in any real conceivable way.
It's not really. You kind of think it almost to the next map whether they could take control. It looks fairly comfortable for NYYRIKKI. I don't think they could touch a point at this point, but they're actually going to be fighting off of it. Overtime is going to be pushing in as they're just finding a pick, trying to find a flank to work on. But Beto is the one providing her fire with a deeper bomb from NYYRIKKI, keeping control of the point, just trying to keep space that belongs to them. And already we see the kill feed lighting up with NYYRIKKI's blue color. Beto just finishing it off with the barrage. It looks very much in total control here, Joe.
15-player kill streak on Baito at the moment. They are in complete control, absolutely 100% there. That was a dominant display of aerial superiority, I'd say, out of NYYRIKKI. So a very, very powerful start. I really did like the adaptation, though. You saw that they run the quad tank. Okay, you want to run that? And then we're going to run that airborne threat. We're going to run that thing that you just cannot deal with. And if you can't shut that fire down, if you can't get pressure on her, she's just going to continue dropping damage down from that sky, from the sky, and just basically put a timer on you, like put a fire on you. And if you can't get kills with that quad tank in time, it's just going to destroy you and run you over with just pressure, outward pressure. That said, the well and the well hungers.
The well always hungers. This is where you want to be seeing the Orisa hog combos by just pulling people into that pit. Lucio boots aplenty. It's going to be interesting to see how both of these teams try and run their competition, but Gamer's going to be running the McCree. Loves this point. We've seen Pine do tremendous work on it. New York Excel, the sort of drop-off range is perfect for this point. So they're going to be playing that, and it's also very good shutdown for Beto. With the pharmacy combo, they're still going to be running it here. Of course they are, because it worked out so well for them last game. They want to try and get the same result here and take Ilios on this best-of-3 decider.
Yep, so spam does come through. Very early kill actually goes on to Sunset there. I think a rocket might have clipped in as well as Skipper picks up first blood. You can see Fated just trying to snipe that far out of the sky. Actually manages to get the Mercy, so Brocky is down. They can't get a res on that one, so now it's just 6 versus 5, and Game is getting that res is absolutely huge for these guys. Beautiful shots coming out of Fated as well, just takes down the Farah as things steadily swing into their favor. Just hunting down the targets now. It's just a matter of cleanup crew at this point. The Winston might try a little bit of Stallerino, but I don't think it's really going to pay too much dividends at the end of the day. Skipper goes down, another beautiful headshot out of Faded, just finishing that one up as they're trying to stall it out, but honestly, it's too little too late. They did manage to flip the point at first, though, so did give themselves a nice 20%, but now Game is in firm control.
Fated shows how much damage he actually dealt in that fight. Being damage boosted by Impulse, no surprise, has the high noon ready just to create a little bit more space on this point when the dive does come through. Beto is going to struggle a little bit here. As I said, McCree is perfect for this point. And we're just seeing NYYRIKKI almost backing off. They took the point first, as you mentioned, but then they sort of sat back a little bit, trying to keep control, try and get as much point percentage as they possibly could, even though they lost their main support. So now this is a decent 6v6 situation. Pulse Bomb coming out of Sunset, but not finding anything. But Impulse using the Valkyrie on Gamers. Sound Barrier coming through, but Beto's the one getting the picks.
Yeah, Beto is the one finding the kills at the end of the day. Even though all these support ultimates were used defensively, although they did keep a hold of the Transcendence, so they do still have that in their back pocket. But the Valkyrie did get used, but doesn't keep anyone alive, really. And now NYYRIKKI actually in a really strong position here going forward. They built themselves up a couple of strong ultimates. They have the Barrage to catch people coming in. They have the Valkyrie to keep people alive. It's going to be a big task for Gamers to actually make their way back onto the point here.
Yeah, Fated needs to pop off like he did on this first engagement. They tend to be going on this first time that they've actually gone through main. The Barrage coming through, actually trying to find a pick, but does get taken out by Concha.
And then the Res actually going to pick him up as well. They're going to use that Transcendence just to keep it covered. Bomb almost takes him down though with a Diva. And now Fated actually in a lot of trouble here, pinned into a corner. There's 2 Primal Raging Gorillas. How many Gorillas can you fit in this room, ladies and gentlemen? It's more than you would expect, trust me. Looks like he's just getting bounced around looking for this high noon. It has been called, gets the Farah, and that's the kill that they really needed. Now wants that Mercy, can't quite find him at the end of the day, however. He's actually in a lot of trouble here as the Winston does start drilling into him, but a couple of beautiful headshots will put down the Scientist once and for all. Fated, though, has to clutch your kick basically at this point. He's looking for the shots as Tracer just nipping around and Skipper trying to cause so many problems at the moment. Gets all the damage, but no, Fated finds the shot at the end of the day, gets the better of that fight, and will start flipping the point over for himself. Farah has made her way back. She looks like she wants to do something, but as Domos gets DMX, they might just want to consider regrouping on this one. Valkyrie even coming out from Gamers just to clutch the point at the end of the day. Faded's absolutely on fire at the moment, absolutely destroying people, but they've almost stalled it to 99% here.
Yeah, exactly. NYYRIKKI have done a really good job of stalling out this point, making sure that they're in full control of it. Even though this fight has been going on for a good sort of 30 to 40 seconds, now it was the only opportunity Gamers was able to take the point. So NYYRIKKI really stretching their pressure on the point for as long as possible. Now they only need 1 clean engagement here, but Fated is playing a tremendous amount of work. Stayed spread out, but where Fated is stood at the moment is where the dive seems to be coming in a lot. We've kind of seen Gamers be backed into a corner a little bit, and that's where the picks are starting to come through from Beto. Who's just sort of chipping in from a distance, trying to poke some damage, get some ult charge, because the Barrage can easily win in this fight. Skipper's going to be looking for a pulse bomb opportunity, trying to go into a fight, trying to look for somewhere to go. But it's actually Fated gets to pick up the chances, so this stalls out this fight a little bit longer. NYYRIKKI do have a little bit of time to work with, but they don't just want to let it go for free.
Yeah, they have to be very careful. They could have tried for a res there, but honestly, not really worth it when you do have this much time in the bank. But they do have a very strong engagement coming up. They only really have to win this one fight, and as long as they don't fall prey to Fated, as long as they don't fall prey to that Deadeye, it could be huge. So we're just going to wait for John Sony to start this engagement off. He's going to be using that Soundbreak just to sort of start the festivities of Skipper. Currently looking for some kind of angle at the moment as Beto also ranging around the sidelines. They're just looking for that rocket. They're looking for that one opening to just get things started. Looks like they're going in. Pulse Bomb goes in, but I think it's like eaten by the Diva Mech actually, so not getting anything, but Beto certainly does. With the Soundbreak recovering, he at least gets one kill at the end of the day. Sunset does return the favor slightly, though, does get that Pulse Bomb onto Domo, so will the Mech that Diva. Meanwhile, Beto continues to just range rockets in from above. We do see the Diva Mech, but Diva gets destroyed before she actually manages to get back in, and now with enough offensive pressure, they could get something done here. It looks like they might be going for a res as well. Yes, Brocky managing to bring up Skipper once again, so the Tracer is back on the fight. It could be anyone's fight here, ladies and gentlemen, at the moment, as Skipper continuing to rain down that damage, just pressuring down the Winston, keeping them pinned on that back line. Point does actually manage to flip as well, and now pressure really starting to mount. Gamers have him, they're like, now it's definitely clutch. Pick time as John Sony actually managed to get rid of, oh man, that's one hell of a name, the Winston on Gamers. I'm not even going to try during the middle of the play-by-play, trust me. Lebedev, though, continues just to do it, but no, they just get knocked off. The Boop is there, the Lucio is there, the Winston bounce back is there, and NYYRIKKI take map number 1.
Very well done, very well played. They looked fairly comfortable, even with Gamers taking 40 to 50% of the point for near enough fray almost. NYYRIKKI just took their time, running the Pharah combination. It's more of a slow sort of dive that you're working on, trying to find an opportunity, trying to poke a little bit of damage and go through from there. But NYYRIKKI taking sort of full control here. They looked without any real pressure on them so far, so they will take the lead, taking Ilios. And it will be Gamers to decide the next map that they will be playing, which will be a pure payload map.
Yeah, so if you are just joining us, if you are sort of wondering, how does this system work? It is a best of 5 playing between these two teams. And we run through a set of sort of small map packs. So we start out on control. It will either be Ilios or it would be Oasis. Then after that, I'm just going to double check just so I get the maps absolutely correct. So it's either going to be Dorado or Junkertown next for the Escort map. So it's going to be the loser picks that next map, and then we go through further. We go to Assault, and we go to then Hybrid and Tiebreaker if we need at the end of the day, which will be another control map. So we have, a varied map pool here. It's going to show a different number of skills, and it was kind of interesting out of Gamers, I thought, to see the quad tank come out, because that to me kind of shows a little bit of desperation. It might speak to the fact that Gamers aren't quite as experienced perhaps as NYYRIKKI. They haven't been together as long, and that might be weighing as a factor here in the series.
Exactly. So if we're actually looking a bit at the history of the teams, NYYRIKKI have been playing quite some time. They took part in the open divisions last season, but we're seeing Gamers actually been around for only a couple of weeks. They've been practicing a lot, and overall they're a higher average SR, but rank doesn't really matter according to some people. So there is going to be an element of experience versus players that may be mechanically stronger, but Gamers, I think, coming out with quad tanks does show a lot. Maybe they're a bit sort of hesitant and not quite sure what strategies they want to show. So they're going to go for something that is a little bit more of a curveball, kind of makes NYYRIKKI think a little bit. And they're not just going to run, de facto dives into one another, trying to hope that they can outplay them. They actually want to bring a little bit of strategy here, but we will be going to Dorado. My issue with this, it is a little bit of a pharmacy map. Only a little bit for maybe these first few points. So maybe Gamers taking it to a map that kind of give NYYRIKKI a bit of an opportunity. So I'm really curious to see both what these teams run. Not really a quad tank map at all, but I want to see more from Gamers, because they didn't look terrible when they were starting to run the dive competitions at all. It was just NYYRIKKI looked a little bit more in control and experienced, especially on the well map itself.
Yeah,
I want to see more of as well, because his McCree was pretty tremendous, actually.
Yeah, his McCree was great. He was landing headshots left, right, and center. But I really do want to follow up on that point you just made, that the quad tank it's a little bit desperate, if you ask me. It's just a sign that, hey, it's just let's throw this at them and see how they react and see how they manage to deal with that one. And if you bring up the pharmacy especially, it skews the entire map draft for you going forward, because you've got to think constantly in the back of your mind that, oh god, they have this really good pharmacy that we need to deal with. Now maybe they can answer it with Widow, maybe they can answer it with some long range hit scare, maybe when the maps open up a little bit more they can shut down that pharmacy. But it definitely shows that NYYRIKKI have this tactic in their back pocket. They didn't have the greatest of times with Skipper on that Widow, but they definitely seem to have this depth to them, that they understand, okay, well, you're going to just play quad tank, then we're going to smash you, and we know how to do it.
It was like they started with a last-ditch effort by playing quad tank, I guess is the point you're making. But we will be going to Dorado. Match is about to start. NYYRIKKI running the Eraser. Quite like seeing this on this sort of defense. They will be going straight to Gamers, running the pharmacy combo with a Widowmaker as well, who can be very effective. Fade so far showing his use on the McCree. See if he can do the same sort of thing on Widowmaker. Try and even up the map scores, as they're going aggressive so far. NYYRIKKI sitting back a little bit because of their anti-dive composition especially with the Orisa. So they're just sitting back, being conservative, want to find a pick before gamers do.
Yeah, so Fated gonna be just looking for that angle. Has actually found a Tracer. Vito just looking for a little bit of damage there at the moment. You see Fated just looking for that angle, looking for that first pick that might blow things open as the point does hit that first crucial choke point. Again, the Tracer just causing problems at the moment, slowing down the push a little bit as the Orisa also needs to go from it. Sunset has gone in over the top. They're demonstrating a bit of pharmacy themselves as that rocket just connects and shuts down Vito. And this has blown things wide open now as you do see Red start to swarm all over this courtyard. They're going to put the pressure on. Down goes the 4-4 Orisa as well. Skipper does get the better of Fated at the end of the day, and that will slow Sunset down a little bit. But of course, the benefit of that that Widow Mercy combo is that you can get that res on that Widowmaker constantly.
Right, and you said the key word there, pressure, and there's a tremendous amount coming out from gamers. Actually getting a kill onto Skyper as well, making sure that NYYRIKKI can't force an engagement anytime soon. They have to wait a few seconds. Whilst the payload is in this sort of interim period as it crosses through to this second point of Dorado, we're going to see gamers trying to take as much high ground as they possibly can. Maybe try and tease out NYYRIKKI, especially the tanks, just to provide a little bit more poke damage. But they're actually going to use infra sites on the side of gamers to make sure that they know exactly where people are, see if they can continue this momentum on the point with just under 5 minutes on the clock still.
A little bit of a dink there onto the back line from Fated, but didn't manage to get the kill shot, unfortunately for him. But that said, Conchar certainly does, and now we see that pressure coming forward once again. They know they have the advantage, so Impulse activates that Valkyrie. Fated still looking for that angle. Stuck a little bit on the low ground at the moment, but Vito has blown himself up once again. Well, not once again, but has just blown himself up. Sorry, that's the second Tracer we've seen commit suicide so far today. Let's keep track of that one as Balenciaga. I'm going to mangle this name, and I do apologize for doing so. But Balenciaga going to just continue pressuring around the corner. We see the Diva Bomb getting launched in. Is now a little bit of a counter push starts coming out of NYYRIKKI. They want to get something done, and they have the Valkyrie to do so, but Transcendence going to be blocking that one. That said, they're going to follow this one up with a Transcendence of their own. We do see the Widowmaker on the backline, though, getting pressured out, but no, beautiful peel there coming out of Dommels. So the Diva shuts down that little advance, and now Skipper has the space, takes down Fated, and the front line starts to crumble for gamers as the damage keeps ranging out. But no, it's actually starting to bounce back, ladies and gentlemen. The tank's just having a bit of a slobber knocker here on the front line. Looks like Conchar just continues to find the damage, but Skipper ranging those shots in from the back line, has a Discord orb on him, rather. Does manage to get rid of the Diva that's been hunting targets left, right, and center. Conchar just throws himself off the cliff, and it looks like it's time for a reset arena.
And this courtyard is very much in their control. Very well played from Skipper to be the sort of lead in charge from NYYRIKKI, which is interesting considering it's a backline hero. But the ability to have these sightlines and make complete use out of them, whilst also baiting out the tanks from gamers to push on through, meant that they were able to take that point. And the payload is in the perfect position for them to look after as well. So now it's just a case of which direction they're going to come from, their left or their right. And it looks like gamers are going to be pushing on this open side, trying to find an opportunity because the Widowmaker's been run here. It's very slow, but Skipper taking out Sunset's infosight is used from gamers. They want to try and find a pick, even up the numbers on these sides.
Yeah, they're looking for something. They actually get a big one as Brocky does drop down. The Zenyatta is such a huge kill there at the start of a fight. And now Mercy even getting isolated as well. John Sony just forcing the backline. Dommels actually does get the DMAC though with the bomb. That's going to even this up for his team as Balenciaga has to run away. Meanwhile, Fate is still looking for that angle, but everyone's like down beneath you, love. They're not there. You got to try and find these targets at the moment. It's like they're just being forced on the backline once again. Gamers just trying to regroup, trying to just find some way in at the moment. But of course, with these spawn distances for NYYRIKKI, they just have that little bit more of an advantage. Dicker there does actually manage to find a kill onto Vito. That will give them a slight opening here. So they're looking for another re-engage at the moment. Just looking for some kind of angle here. You can see the Widowmaker and the Zenyatta working together, just looking to try and put some burst onto something. At the moment, they're looking to pressure out the Widowmaker on the opposite side and manage to do so. Fata gets rid of Skipper, and this is the opening they needed. The res does come through though. John Sony manages to take that one off, and you see the Winston actually hunting Fated down as well, but the Mercy and Diva there just appeal as the kills start coming through. Transcendence gets used defensively, but it might be too little too late, as there are 3 kills already. 4 as Fated finds another. Transcendence don't matter if you're landing these headshots, and Fated certainly seems to be doing so, ladies and gents. The payload starts rolling forward and will complete in second.
A good amount of time was used up from NYYRIKKI down that second point, just with these slow engagements. Fated actually building up enough infosight since the last time that we spoke about it, gave him the information to know where people on NYYRIKKI were, that he can take them down with relative ease. But this is a bit of an awkward angle for them to fight. NYYRIKKI going for a very quick engagement on this first point. The fight even gets through this little main door, which does eat up a little bit of time for them. So even if they do get wiped here, the pillag's still not going to really go that far. So they're going to try and early engagement, try and keep control of the point. And because gamers, Fated now switched over to McCree, that's really an opportunity for them to maybe just back out a little bit. The Widowmaker wasn't going to find the angles that they needed there. Payload is going to start moving along. With a Diva Bomb, it's actually going to land on the payload. Doesn't quite find anything though. Bucky is going to be the first to take up Balenciaga. It's going to get rest, so it's a bit of an iffy situation. Both teams try to stall one another out.
Yeah, it's a very sort of long, slow, pokey fight at the moment, but slowly but surely Gamers seems to be finding the advantage. Pulse Bomb does come out from Sunset, doesn't manage to find anything, and Brocky now forced to actually use that Transcendence defensively. Baited though, starting to make his way forward, lands a couple of good shots, has that Deadeye available to him, draws it out as the Winston, looking to create a little bit of havoc in the backline, but now he just has to hide, he's just stuck. Ladies and gents, he can't go anywhere, and the Deadeye just locks him down completely. Payload now continuing to roll forward as Baited, looking for some space at the moment. We do hear the Dragon Blade coming up from Baito, though it's clutch or kick time, ladies and gents, but no, Dicker shuts him down. I think it's clearly kick, as Baito only manages to find the Tracer during all of that. Dicker just trying to get rid of the Diva here. Meanwhile, we do see the Winston just ranging forward. He's just going to create a lot of space for his team at the moment, creating openings for that vital Tracer and McCree as they just start ranging forward towards the spawn. This is where teams get stuck so often here on Dorado, but it looks like Gamers starting to make good time. NYYRIKKI taking their time though. They're going to be trying to regroup as best as possible. They want to come out as a single cohesive unit, and they're looking to do just that as the engage does begin between these two teams. Diva Bomb even being used for the engage, manages to park it just around the corner, but doesn't find any kills for it. It might have been just fishbowl there by Balenciaga. Meanwhile, Sunset though continues to look for threats. Pulse Bomb comes out, doesn't find much luck with it. Unfortunately, now it's just sort of stuck on the side, waits for that Orb of Harmony, and now we'll start engaging once more. Looks like they want to take another bite of the cherry here, but with 1 minute on the clock, they have to be careful not to waste too much time here. We do see the Junkrat coming out. The defense as well going to create a little bit of spam. Diva Bomb goes in, up and over, doesn't find anything, and Skipper actually finds the first blood in the engagement. Transcendence now being used, and NYYRIKKI want to push their way back out. They want to get something done here, but there's the counter trance, and they're trying to just get an engagement coming forward. This is Gamers' one moment. This is your shot, ladies and gents, and if they can make it, then it will be a beauty. Faded gets himself one with the Deado, and he's looking for even more at the moment, hunting down Skipper on that backline. Can't quite find the shots, but Dicker certainly does, and now they just need to clean up on the point. Payload rolling forward is being contested at the moment by one. They just need to start cleaning this up. Winston gonna be primal raging on the point, just knocking people away, causing some problems as reinforcements come forward. Riptide actually does manage to get rid of Dicker, but they might actually still have the res available for him, so there it is. Impulse fixing back up, Payload rolls forward, and Gamers manage to complete.
Managing to finish up Dorado can be a feat in itself. Most teams do get stopped there, and you could see why. NYYRIKKI did a really good job of stalling that objective. Gamers just had the ability to push on through. I do think that McCree, you're seeing how much use the Fate can get out of it, but Sunset as well came alive in this area, really getting picks onto the likes of Brookie in the backline, and really NYYRIKKI just could really stall as much as they possibly could. There was only so much they could do. You saw the Primal Rage being used, just trying to keep the point alive. But Gamers had made so much time for themselves at this first point, still having a little bit of time. 20 seconds isn't a lot, but it is a big ask for NYYRIKKI to actually try and finish up the map if they possibly can. So it's going to be interesting what kind of compositions they're going to run. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Pharmacy combo overall, but Fated going to lock in the Widowmaker and had some pretty decent success with it so far. Just a bit hot and cold with the Widow battles between him and Skipper.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we start seeing, we've seen these teams play, 2 maps now, and hey, we're starting to see patterns emerging. One player that I've really started noticing quite a lot in the kill feed, and it's always a good sign when you do notice him a lot in the kill feed, is Dicker on that Zenyatta. He just seems to consistently be able to find the orbs, consistently finds the damage, to shut down Baito a number of times, shut down Tracer, shut down Genji consistently, and that's such a huge factor to have. When you have a Zenyatta that can sort of prevent the enemy from making a big play, that's always going to be big, and not just use Transcendence to do it, but use those right clicks, use his damage to do so. At the moment, we do see a Sombra being teased on attack, but I'd be very interested to see it. We do see Sombra pop up here and there in contenders and in Overwatch League at the moment, but she hasn't made sort of the big splash that perhaps people were expecting quite so often. It looks like though we've got a lot of tanks actually coming out on the defense, as the defense has more or less locked in. It looks like they want to run this tank comp with the Widowmaker. They have the Moira and Lucia to provide a bit of extra healing and mobility, so we'll see how this goes for them, but that Pharmacy could cause issues.
Yeah, but look how far back they're sat as well. Not even sitting on this high ground to provide a little bit of poke. They're just going to try and hide their composition as much as they possibly can. But we'll see Beto kind of scouting ahead with the Pharmacy, having a look, seeing what they're running. May decide to switch to something else, like a Junkrat at some point. But Skipper is going to be on the Widowmaker again, trying to be an aggressive force here, trying to find a pin, but it is going to be difficult with all of the targets from Gamers being fairly self-sustaining characters, and when you have a Moira keeping yourself alive as well, it's going to look tough. So NYYRIKKI just looking for an avenue of opportunity to go through. The skipper's going to get picked off by Concho, goes on a bit of a flank, but doesn't have to boost this to get out. So it's actually going to be able to escape.
I really like how gamers are managing this. Like, gamers just, you know, there's so much about NYYRIKKI. Like, we've been keeping an eye on Baito so far, and he's sort of ranged his way around there, and like, it's very, very slowly just poking around. Let's find the Widowmaker. Where's Widow? Oh, I have to be so careful. And during all of that, gamers said, okay, it's go time. Just ran the tanks into them and started taking people down. So I really like this burst of aggression of the gamers. They understand, you know, if the enemy wants to take the time, then fine. And we even see a Reaper now coming out. Actually, the pharmacy has been put away, and Reaper joining us once more. Was buffed recently, is stronger against tanks overall, and just better in general at the moment. But it's against quad tank or against triple tank, he still kind of struggles. You normally see the Junkrats come out. You normally see that Riptire being so pivotal here as they continue to just dance around on this choke point. So Sykes does come out. Looks like gamers want to try and get something done. Skipper having a bit of a duel at the moment. Does get the better, does get that first shot, but still very, very slow offensive so far. Baited, has to be very careful, does drop very low, and looks like, yes, there's the follow-up. Left Def just jumps straight in, and now the engagement beginning in earnest. We see the Coalescence come out. Beautiful Earth Shatter. Does manage to catch one before that Transcendency picks up, and even a beautiful charge as well during the trance gets himself a kill. Always feels good when you get those kills during the trance, but Baito managing to turn around. Sunset causing a couple of problems here, but has been shut down by the Diva, and now there's just enough left. Balenciaga trying to get something done at the moment, just surrounded, Discord off, and taken down by Skipper. The payload will start rolling forward.
Did use a few ultimates from NYYRIKKI to do it though. One of the interesting plays I saw there was John Sony bringing out the Valkyrie. Did try to res a target, so Brokey had to use a Transcendence to keep him alive. But it's actually Balenciaga that came through for a charge, actually pinning the Mercy. So she could res and also get the pick during the Transcendence, as you pointed out. But this is an aggressive fight, and this always suits what the Temp want to do. You do see the Death Boss go through, but the points go through. 4 minutes left on the clock, so we did see a Sand Barrier coming through from gamers, but the Death Boss have just created enough space. They didn't actually get any picks, but created enough space between the rest of the gamers and the payload itself, so it just moves on through.
Very aggressive Earthshatter coming out, but I imagine Balenciaga probably wants to swap onto the Winston here for this point. I'd actually be surprised to see if the Reaper stays on this point as well, as he has a bit of a tough time. He's actually going to go back to spawn, so that Reaper will be changing up at the moment. Sunset though, prowling and
Farah maybe on a Tracer.
For a little bit of an angle. Tracer sounds, yeah, more apt at the moment. They have to be very careful at the moment. Of course, the enemy team does have a good position at the moment. Skipper set up on the high ground as the tanks there covering him as well. We do see Winston bouncing in, looking to cause a couple of issues, but it's going to instantly bounce out. Dicker, actually the target in sight, is on 1 hit point, has to be so careful, but does manage to get out with the skin of his teeth at the moment as Widowmaker has been forced off that high ground. It looks like gamers want to try and do something with this. Diva Bomb does get thrown out right into the middle of it all, but doesn't find anything there, I think. So yeah, it's going to be AFK. No, he does actually manage to get the DMEC. It's always the delay, always trips everyone up. Don't worry too much about it. Fated, though, manages to get the kill on Baito. He's actually starting to punch back a little bit here. Fated could be the turnaround at the moment. It looks like Skipper still looking for some kind of angle here, but with the tanks in front of him, with all the barriers and all the blockers in the way, he's having such a hard time doing so. Does take a bit of a dink there. Has to be very careful to grab the sniper door, but there's the Winston just interfering as well. Just puts the hurt on him and takes him down. No problem. Now then, Baito going to be looking to try and create some kind of opportunity for his team. Just gets a beautiful one clip on to the Zenyatta. Even Mercy's healing couldn't help him there, ladies and gents. Now he's going to continue hunting down these targets. It looks like NYYRIKKI want to make something of this one as Transcendence even comes out, and they continue to try and find these kills. Does manage to get the DMEC at the end of the day, and now it's looking for even more as Primal Rage does get popped to try and store something. Pulse Bomb does get flung out, doesn't really find anything. It was a zoning Pulse Bomb. Let's be generous, ladies and gents. As we do see the huge bomb comes through. Dumbles managing to pick himself up a triple kill. But is the follow-up there? Can they actually clean this up while the reinforcements start pouring out once more? Balenciaga literally on 1 hit point does get taken down there by Dumbles as they continue putting the pressure on the point. Skipper also setting up Trust, trying to get this payload rolling, and I don't think anyone can stop this rolling through as they complete second. Yes, they do.
So Impulse was kind of caught out there from the Diva Bomb, was flying around trying to heal up Balenciaga, who was primal raging at the time, basically flew into the trajectory of the Diva Bomb coming out for Dumbles, and it was perfectly placed. So far these Diva Bombs have awesome trajectory, landed in the places that they want to, but because this is the highest tier, they know to run around and make sure that they can't get caught out by the Diva Bombs. But that one was exceptional to the point that it gets half of the gamer's team. They again going to be trying to engage quite early here, force as many engagements as possible. They do 3 minutes on the clock, but they already have a couple of people going down, actually using a Resurrect as well. So right now, scrappy fighters, gamers are just trying to keep control of whatever they have. And do have a few ultimates as well. The Transcendence just in case things start to look really muddy. Also another Diva Bomb on their side. Don't think it's going to replicate the same successes we saw from Dummel, so.
Yeah, we do see Skipper swapping off that Widowmaker as well. No huge surprise here on Dorado third point. To see soldiers, McCree's, more close range heroes coming out just to create a little bit of more of a close range threat. Widowmaker has a bit of a tough time here. You can get some cheeky picks, but it's a little bit of a gamble. Looks like they want to pressure out this high ground, and with Soldier 76, why the hell not? As Valkyrie even actually comes out now from the defense. Beautiful. Diva Bomb going to just zone everyone off that high ground, so it sweeps everybody out of the way at the moment. It looks like Skipper still looking for targets, but just getting pummeled all over the place. Completely shut down, hunted down, and killed without problem. Sunset picking up the kill on that one. Baito tries to find a couple of kills, but again gets shut down there. Helix Rocket just scoops him up and gets rid of him once and for all. It looks like Gamers once again taking control of the point. They have that tech visor in the back pocket. Primal Rage getting used by Leopard actually very, very late. Does manage to trap the Winston and shut him down. So they want to try and get something done quickly here, but that respawn is very, very nearby. So they have to be quite careful here as payload does start rolling forward.
We do see a lot of time being wasted here, and it's not as if NYYRIKKI have all the time to work with as well. They want to make sure that they can finish this map out completely. Time banks don't really matter in this game, but everybody gets an extra minute. But that's another Diva Bomb coming through. Does D-Met Concha was looking to maybe get a few more picks, but we did see Gamers getting out of the way. Forced out the Transcendence, so they're aggressively going to be pushing forward, getting a few picks and also bringing the Resurrect out as well.
Yeah, Trance, he very aggressively actually just gets the Diva right back up, so they use it just to get that res pretty much alone, try and create some pressure on the back of it. Sunset, though, with the pulse ball onto Brocky, will take him down. Now in a duel with Mercy, does manage to get the better of it. Mercy not quite as proficient with that Caduceus Blaster as Tracer is with her pulse pistols, and as a result, Sunset, well, puts the Sunset down on that poor Mercy. That said, it's not all over at the moment. NYYRIKKI do have that visor in the back pocket, do have a Valkyrie to work with, but Fated going to be looking to shut that one down, I think.
I think so. Certainly trying to use this high ground to their advantage if they can. But NYYRIKKI's doing a really good job of making sure that gamers can't control it at all. From Diva Bombs up there, making sure that this kind of area isn't going to really work for them. NYYRIKKI going to be pushing ahead, trying to use a tactical visor. Skipper going incredibly low from poke damage, so made sure to try and stay alive. Would have used a Resurrect. You have somebody actually leaving the game, so there will be a pause that will come in a second. But there's only 20 seconds left on the clock regardless, so they will be able to do it quicker. And it's a bit of a bad opportunity for gamers to actually lose that, simply because like they lose an ultimate. I'm not sure how much ult charge they had, but no doubt DC that they're going to be trying to fix in the meantime. But so far it does look like gamers have actually quite impressed me this round. They've actually shown that, you know, we looked at the content that they used at the start of Ilios, that it could have been seen as a bit of a move that was they were a bit skeptical of going into the game. They wanted to make sure that they had didn't reveal any strategies, but they seem to be a team that's very keen on changing up their hero pools. They look proficient in different amount of tactics, and it really kind of forces NYYRIKKI to play the strategies that they don't maybe want to play, the team comps that they don't really want to play, just because they can pull up the triple tanks in situations where it doesn't really deem fit. So right now, gamers are really impressing me, and so far they're looking really good to take Dorado at this point, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, they already have an advantage because, you know, I am stuck on the in-game screen, so I can see that, you know, there's 21 seconds to 20 left, but they still have to push the payload a little bit longer. So at the very least, you know, they have a little bit of advantage. Looks like, no, oh God, someone's actually also left the game, so it looks like we have another disconnect. So we have 2 people dropping out now, and that's actually a big loss.
That's
I think it was on about 60% though. I did take a gander at the ultimate charge, so it might not have been impactful. It might have been impactful if this fight goes long. It sucks that it happens, guys. Like, disconnects happen though, and this is an online tournament. It is the reality, unfortunately, of online tournaments where you do see players drop out. Unfortunately, it happens, and hopefully they work out. Apparently, several people are lagging out, but here's hoping they get back quickly. Here's hoping they get back painlessly. Otherwise, hopefully you guys are enjoying the Open Division so far. If you are taking part, absolutely. Well, if you are taking part, like, I wish you the best of luck, and, you know, let us know in the chat as well. We're trying to cover as many different teams as possible, but with, you know, as mentioned in the intro, with 1,000 teams involved, we can't really cover everyone. Unfortunately, even though we have like a huge stable of broadcast talent here with the Broadcast.gg broadcast, like we still can't cover everything. So we're going to try and cover as much as we can, guys, in the coming weekends. But
how many people would that require? Like 2,500 people-ish? Probably more.
Yeah. It would be
watch that many games.
It would be
a few logistical issues, I suppose, trying to make that work. But I'm very excited to sort of get into it. Like, the information on Path to Pro has become more prolific since the Overwatch League, and I think that was one of the areas that people were really interested in, because the Overwatch League was there, it works, the production value is good. How do you get into it? What is the actual journey to becoming, you know, playing in ranked ladder to getting there? And this is one of the major steps, I feel. not only for getting your team into contenders, but also getting your name out there as a tank, a DPS, or a support player, or even the likes of coaches as well, which teams are still looking for. So it's a great way to really introduce yourself to the teams, really introduce yourself to the league and everything around it, and really just, take the whole Crusher 99 journey quite seriously, I feel.
Yeah, it gives you a way of, it's always one of those difficult things when you are starting out. If you are very good at a game and you want to take that next step, you want to find like, okay, well, I'm on the ladder, I'm hitting Grandmaster, I'm hitting top 500. How do I get that next step? Having that clearly delineated path is such a big deal. And like, I know me and you feel very passionately about the idea of having that, like, pushing people towards playing 6 versus 6. It's by far the most fun way of playing Overwatch. One of the best things you can do in Overwatch is find 6 other people, or 5 other people rather, and then just play a bunch of games with them. Find people that you can play against, for example, and then get better and better and better and better. It's by far the best way to improve, and it's by far probably the most enjoyable way of playing Overwatch. It looks like the players are about ready. I'm going to wait for production just to let them know that we are good to go. But I want to get back into the game. Looks like the players have loaded back in. We are literally on the verge of a fight as we set the scene once more for you guys. It's like NYYRIKKI ready to engage. We're here on Dorado third point, and NYYRIKKI have to basically win this fight. But with 2 GCs on the side of gamers, they're definitely gonna not waste any time at the moment. They have that advantage, so they're gonna seize it. As Skipper brings out attack visor, Baito actually finds a pulse bomb as well. Gets that Winston for a nice early kill as the payload starts rolling forward. Skipper on the flank is just looking for that angle, just getting the damage in, is managing to find the kills at the very least. Transcendence now being used defensively on that point. Primarizing Winston's gonna buy them a little bit of time, but with that Discord orb on him, he is gonna be torn to shreds in no time at all. But Mercy will keep him alive that little bit longer. Impulse, though, does get hunted down at the end of the day. Leopard just finds him, and they can't quite touch it, and they do manage to finish it. 1 minute to 1 minute 20 on the clock. We are going to an overtime situation.
I don't even think the 20 seconds is really the thing that both teams are playing for here with this finish. It's more who goes first, who sets the barrier for the other team to try and cross. So this is a good opportunity for gamers to try and hold close, take as many engagements, bring out one of their strategies. Fated already locking in the basket. Who knows at this point? This might be what they want to do. And NYYRIKKI need to be a little bit careful. Maybe, keep their cards close to their chest, try and play around the objective as much as possible. But I feel that that's more or less going to be an advantage to gamers in that situation that have so far kind of outplayed NYYRIKKI with team comps and strategies, especially at the start of games and maps.
Yep, so it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to do this one. Now, it is a payload map, and it's a pure payload map as well. So what that means is the 1 minute to 1 minute 20 could be irrelevant. They could push it all the way in overtime. They could push it as far as they like, or they could just get stalled out completely. Realistically, for both of these teams, they have about 2 fights. Like, really, it takes about 30 to 40 seconds to get a fight. 1 minute 20 still kind of isn't enough time to get 3 good fights. They might be able to just scramble one out, but it's going to be more of a desperation stall where they try and get something done. It looks like they're anticipating the quad tank, though. As Bido does lock in that Junkrat nice and early, so they've seen that, hey, the enemy likes to run these tank strats. Let's try and run this counter. A little bit blind, but Sunset, not going to be taking part. He's actually not on the Roadhog this time. He's on that Tracer.
Exactly, so they're just looking to try and get a pick early more than anything. Try and really stall out this push as much as possible. I think Baito on the Junkrat's going to be interesting to see. They're going to actually be playing quite aggressive here, making sure that they can clear out this choke and make sure that this payload can at least get through it, because when you only have a minute on the clock, this is typically where the payload can get stuck. But Baito actually stretched a little bit too far. Baito taking him out to fight. The res will come through, but this provides an avenue for gamers to push on through, to be aggressive, to fight on point. But so far, NYYRIKKI looking for the picks before they even move the payload, so it is stopping now and again. Gamers just taking their time. They have a lot of time to work with 20 seconds left on the clock. The Skipper's going to be the one taking out Fated. And the dive is coming in from NYYRIKKI.
Skipper goes down, but the res is there to pick him up, but that is the last lifeline gone at the moment. As we do see Skipper continuing to look for those angles, trying to just shut down the enemy. He is quite low on hit points, though. Has to get picked up by his team. Doesn't manage to do so. Fated just gets himself 1, gets himself 2, actually. Fated going big at the moment. It's now set up on Overwatch, ladies and gents. He has everyone in the sights. Can't touch the payload anymore as that Widowmaker watches. And it looks like that is where it will stop, right by the middle fountain, right in the middle of the courtyard. So this could prompt a close hold. This could prompt a little bit of Cheeserino. This could prompt a tanky comp, but it could prompt them just not to change anything and just try and run strats that they're comfortable with. There's a lot of options on the table. Let's see what they go for.
I'm surprised gamers wouldn't run quad tank in a scenario like this, but locking in the heroes so far, NYYRIKKI instantly locking in the Pharah, because getting the pick and getting an ultimate fairly quickly that might be impactful. So they obviously are going to go out with this line of gamers, Don't think they're going to be using that composition that we're seeing on our top right, but who knows? Maybe with the Hanzo changes, which I don't know if they're better or worse, but they're like it's
God.
nice to not have Scatter Arrow, I suppose.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
If there's another DC, we'll discuss it. But yeah, it's interesting. I like the jump. I like the little lunge thing that he has. But NYYRIKKI are going to be running a very traditional dive. Beto on a pharmacy just to spice it up a little bit. So they can't really have the same aggression that we saw from gamers on their defense. Fated has the Bastion. Who knows? Would it be a pirate ship in Dorado?
You could you try it if you're feeling really bold, but I wouldn't advise it. Let's put it that way. It looks like they want to run that tanky comp though, like you perhaps suggested. They're going to be running the Zarya with 1 minute 20 on the clock. That's quite bold. Like, it's quite difficult to build up that ultimate nice and quickly. Instantaneously, I think we see the Junkrat just dip away as they realize that yes, they need that Widowmaker to put pressure on the Pharahs. NYYRIKKI holding super close to the doorway at the moment. Sunset getting pressured down. The barrier just gets destroyed straight away. Does get himself a nice bit of charge at the moment. Just the Concha just causing problems there on that front line on the D.Va, just trying to muscle forward, but with 60 seconds left, the payloads barely move as they continue this close hold. They're looking for the flanks at the moment. Haven't really found too many kills, but there we go. Faded does end up dropping down there, so not having a good time, but he just gets dove from all angles. Now Concha actually in a lot of trouble on the high ground as well, will get demech. Sunset on quite high charge on the ground, actually sort of bleeding away at the moment. They're having a bit of a tough time here. These tanks are just slowly melting down. They can't quite control this fire, and the splash damage is steadily overwhelming them. You see Valencia on the back foot is Fated, trying to just tries to find his way out there. And this far as
that makes it worse.
So many things. Oh no, yeah, the DC comes through. It's just the worst possible time for gamers. But honestly, NYYRIKKI's hold really strong so far.
Yeah, and you know they're the kind of team that this is where experience is prevalent, right? They know to take engagements early in this scenario, in this situation, because it suits them to a T. It's the lineup that they want to run. Like the stars have aligned with what they want to do, and gamers maybe struggling to make that count in a lot of situations, just trying to have that game knowledge to really surprise NYYRIKKI, considering like at the start of games, especially that they've brought out compositions that NYYRIKKI have gone, oh, okay, we need to change up stuff. NYYRIKKI have done a really good job of being able to hold here aggressively. Gamers have struggled. Interested that they're running a Zarya when you only have a minute 20 on the clock. To build up a ground turn can be a big ask. But they're just trying to push aggressively onto the point, try and get the bodies there now with the Reinhardt Zarya combination. But because of the vertical ability that NYYRIKKI have by holding onto these two colored buildings as you leave spawn, it's very tricky to make Reinhardt work in that situation because the actual spread of how much your shield can protect your team is so much lower because people are directly above you, right? So gamers are gonna probably go into this with a bit of a oh no attitude, but they do have a coalescence coming up in the fight, which might be a saving grace for them. But Beto, Domels, and everybody else that's on this high ground for NYYRIKKI don't look like they're in too much stress right now, considering the way that the game is playing. 25 seconds left on the clock with 75 meters to get. They're looking comfortable again, and they're really showing their experience in this game.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd say to you guys when we load back into the game, looks like everyone is good to go. So I'm just going to wait for production to let them know that we are ready to go. And once we're ready to go, we'll get back into it. The first thing I want you guys to look at is the ultimate charge on each side. Now, sure, Concha, who had the disconnect, is not going to be, he's not going to be have anything. So it's just going to be a problem for him. But everyone on the defending side at the moment has so much ultimate charge compared to what the attacking has. Like, Fated has barely managed to build anything up. He's had to change heroes a couple of times. But, like, Balenciaga, for example, on that Reinhardt, barely has anything in his back pocket either. He hasn't been able to hit anything. He hasn't been able to do anything with the Reinhardt. The Zarya has been kind of starved throughout as well. So now it's really sort of do or die. Concha picks up the D.Va once again. Now, luckily, they kind of were already in a regrouping period, but they're still going to be low on these resources. As Vito builds up another barrage, gets another rocket through and takes down Impulse. That's just going to continue to slow this down as 10 seconds is now left, and now it really starts being do or die here for this team. Gamers have to sort of keep themselves in this, and match score actually does matter in this tournament. I took a look at the rules, and like, you want to have 3-2s, you want to have 3 nils rather. You want to have like as clean results as possible, because that will matter in the long term. As Dicker does open up hostilities here with the Coalescence, it's just going to start pushing the team forward, trying to use the ultimate, but they're just getting pinned back here by this ultimate. And the ultimate that I'm really waiting for is this barrage. Like, Vito is in such a strong position on the high ground to just drop down and maybe get something done. There goes the barrage, but it gets caught up. Actually, the D.Va shuts it down, and now Fated has an opening on that Deadeye. Does get bounced back, can't quite find anything with the high noon as they continue looking for these threats. You see Balenciaga just taking D.Va D.Va for a bit of a ride there to start throwing out the damage, and now it's really starting to go into Gamer's favor, and now it's going to be a big task for NYYRIKKI to regroup as fast as possible. They have to do this cleanly, and they have enough time to do so, I would say. They do actually have the resources to get back there, and they do have that Zenyatta ult, crucially, to give them pressure here.
Yep, a Beta on the Junkrat as well. Very good against these triple tanks, so long as they try and take Concha on the D.Va out of the fight as much as possible. So they're just going to try and push this payload as quick as possible, provide a little bit of poke damage from NYYRIKKI to push in, but they need to touch the point. The further away, I guess, it gets from spawn for gamers, the easier it is for NYYRIKKI. And that's a big hand. Doesn't actually find anything, but the graviton is there, but kind of unify wins some shit there.
It's really, really nicely done. They use the Ice Shadow to clear the D.Va out the way, that open things up for Sunset to put that Graviton surge down. But no, they can't get the follow-up, and Dummels just throws the bomb into the sky. And there we go. NYYRIKKI just clears the point using the D.Va bomb. And even though these big ultimates come out, they just don't have the follow-up. They don't have the 1-2 punch to clean it out at the end of the day. And NYYRIKKI end up going 2-0 up in the series. They've been crisper, is what I say. Like, if I had to give the word, crisper.
They don't look as panicked either. In situations where they used a barrage in that final engagement, they lost it, the payload was moving rather freely in overtime. They looked comfortable. They didn't, just rush onto the point and instantly throw themselves under any form of bus. But what they did do was just wait patiently for the rest of their team, almost making gamers force out an engagement somewhat. They used the Earth Shatter very quickly on the side of gamers. They used the Graviton. So it was almost a case of like, who blinks first in that regard. So NYYRIKKI want to take this win by taking another map, but as you said, if they can win out with 3-0s and 4-0s as much as possible, that suits them very nicely for future games as we start to ramp up in the teams that will be pushing for those contender slots, that will want to make sure that they're involved in all of that stuff. We will be deciding what the next map will be, and I believe it will be Hanamura. So nice, interesting map. A lot of soldier play that we see coming out on the second point of high ground as such, but ultimately not 100% sure what either of these teams really want to run. Maybe Gamer's going to run this quad tank instead again.
Yep, so we will be taking a brief break, as I think we are going back to our desk. So yeah, we will be going back to the desk for a moment, just as the teams take a bit of a break. Me and Ryan probably want a little bit of a breather. I need to refill my water. So take it away to our lovely desk. Take it away, Ham. I'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for guiding us through those incredible 2 rounds there between NYYRIKKI Esports and Gamers Origin. Certainly, it would have felt a little bit better to have some kind of closure there on Dorado, but it was so neck and neck. Internet gods, having a little bit of their way with the poor Gamers team, unfortunately, which did have a bit of an impact. But just wanted to, talk to you, Blank. We do have a few minutes to kind of break things down here while the players are taking a bit of a rest. Let's move back to the first map that we saw, Ilios, and this one did go NYYRIKKI's way 2-1. And let's go back to the Ruins map, which is the round that Gamers took. Who was kind of the difference maker there? Was it Gamers playing particularly well, or was it just NYYRIKKI's stubbornness, do you think? Blank, I think you might be muted.
Yes, so NYYRIKKI, they had like a half dive going on one. Really, they should have switched to the full dive to deny the 4-tank combo. Skipper, although was the key player there, picking up the kills left, right, and center. When we did see him controlled, as in Sunset was ignoring the Widow on the second fight after he controlled him on the first, which allowed him to take the first tick over. When he ignored him on the second, NYYRIKKI picked it up again. Last fight again, Skipper went down early and they were able to actually flip it over. We run to the next map, which is Lighthouse, in which case NYYRIKKI switch it up. So finally they are switching what they're doing to go against this 4-tank combo. Unfortunately, it was Gamers who had to switch to the mirror comp later, and the ult advantage from NYYRIKKI Esports just greatly outvalued the amount of plays and positioning that Gamers could try have. And then we moved over to Well finally, and Fate, we saw him do a great job. He had the potential there all over the place. It was just unfortunate that such a huge stall came out from NYYRIKKI Esports. It was Dummels and Lepidef who were just cycling the D.Va Matrix and the Winston Shield, pulling all the way up to 99%. And then when you had that crucial mistake from Balenciaga when he got booped into the well after popping the Primal Rage, they really needed that Primal Rage to stall on point for a little bit longer, wait for Fate to reposition. And just when that didn't happen, they were able to take Ilios on that one. So all in all, it was just gamers playing on the back foot a lot of the time. So, yes. So we're going to quickly go over to Analyst on Dorado now. I do believe Ham just taking a short break. But yeah, so this first one, on the first point where it was gamers who were attacking, Skipper versus Fate. Now, this was a really crucial matchup because you see, Skipper was a lot of the time out winning the fights versus Fate. And Fated really need to take those fights because when you're playing a Widow versus Widow on defense, if you're an attacker, you can do one of two things. You can either pressure their enemy Widow, stop them from damaging yours, or you can pressure onto the other heroes. But you need to take an advantageous position. Fated did neither. He was losing the fights to Skipper and also wasn't doing enough damage on the enemy team, which meant Skipper could just quickly take Fated out of the fight and then focus on everyone else. And no one on the side of gamers could contend with him. He just was that crowbar that opened things up for NYYRIKKI. We did move on. And again, you see Skipper's just understanding the game, alter the way the actual fight started, and supports as well, because we went on to point B, and Skipper and both supports were inside the hangar, which meant it was difficult for the side of NYYRIKKI to actually dive onto them because they had two walls between them and a wall above them, which meant they were in stasis for a lot of the time back on point B, which has wasted a lot of crucial time that they needed. Gamers did finally take it in the end, but Skipper again on attack just made it so easy for them. And then we had the second defense on overtime, a minute apiece. Gamers did a great job. They pushed it in. They went as far as they could go, but it was just the side of NYYRIKKI using that mobile defense comp. They were just making a lot. It was very cramped for Fated. Playing on McCree, he needs that space. They weren't giving it to him, and they knew even though they had a short amount of time, if they held it at the gate, it would be so much easier that when they did finally have to reset after the barrage went down, unfortunate time because he went out as soon as the sound barrier came out also, they had enough time to reset, come in, and clear it up afterwards. And Domals, once again, managed to thread the needle with the self-destruct, finding Concha and Fated in the left room there. So all in all, just great play from NYYRIKKI. Gamers could take this, they could sweep back, but they need to start focusing on Skipper, and Fated needs to pull up his game. I think we are going to be moving back into game now. I think both the teams are ready. I believe our host is just having a few technical difficulties, so I will throw this one back to the casters. Okay. Oh, she's back. She's back. I'm going to give it back, pass it back to the host then.
Oh, well, fortunately, I think I've missed most of the juicy part. I only, got the tail end of Blank's dulcet tones. But yeah, so were you able to get to Dorado? I think I heard a little bit about that. Is there any
I did indeed get to Dorado.
All right.
Just
awesome. Then.
We're Gucci.
And I do believe our casters are back. So we're going to just go ahead and throw it back to them, see if we can get maybe a little bit more insight into the games, what we might see coming into the future matchups after halftime. And so you guys, take it away.
Yeah, hello guys, welcome back. It's me and Ryan again. Once again, going to be bringing you the second half of NYYRIKKI versus Gamers here in the Overwatch Open Division, brought to you by Broadcast.gg. Of course, I'm Josh, OneAmongstMany Pemberton. With me, well, Ryan, why don't you introduce yourself, because you have such a dulcet tone in doing so. You're muted as well. Well done.
RyanCentral Horton. Smooth. I'm so used to doing that now. We're going straight to Hanamura. Like, there's not going to be any time to talk about it. I think gamers just want to keep this going. Like, they are playing well, but NYYRIKKI, to me, just look like a team that is well prepared for the kind of competitions that teams like gamers could throw out with them. So they've obviously been playing together a while, so they know different strategies or avenues that they could take if they decide to. So ultimately, it's going to be a case of, can gamers actually catch out NYYRIKKI here by playing interesting strategies, which they have done so far, and whether NYYRIKKI can keep this tempo up and make sure that they can win out this series of games. They're currently 2-0 up. They want to make sure that they can have a nice clean 3-0 or 4-0 if they can manage it.
Yeah, 3-0 would actually be like completely desirable here. I mentioned it earlier that actually map wins do sort of matter in the long term here. The better you do, the better situation you're going to be in overall. Just the tournament does start taking into account when you have 1,000 teams, you're going to have teams with very similar results. And teams with 3-0s will get rated higher than teams with 3-1s or teams with 3-2s in the system overall. So if NYYRIKKI can close this out with a 3-0, it will actually be quite a big deal for them. It will put them in a really good steading going forward in the tournament as a whole. Now we are on Hanamura. A lot of various strategies are available on this map. We've been seeing it in the Overwatch League every so often. A lot of Soldier 76 getting played here, for example. A lot of we might even see a little bit of Spicy May. I secretly kind of want to see if Defensive May ever will make a comeback. She was buffed rather recently as Concha instantly disconnects as I think we are going in. And HamTornado, our host, has actually ended up joining in the game, which I don't think is desirable. Beautiful freeze frame on the Winston though. I love it. I love that hangout spot. It's actually very, very powerful. It's a very, very powerful spot.
Very powerful. I'm looking to understand what's going on really with NYYRIKKI. They just want to keep everything going in their favor, right? They want to make sure that they have complete control over this game, really show their dominance, because this is a team as well that has narrowly missed out contenders last time, or at least the playoffs towards it by going 7-3. Most teams get in at least 8-2, some even going like 9-1. So they're a team that want to try and win out these games cleanly, make sure that they have that momentum going up in their favor, and ultimately try and just make sure that they start off on the right foot overall. I feel that that's what these teams want to do. The gamers maybe just want to be looking at this as an opportunity to gain more experience in it, because they are a team that have played in bigger tournaments and such, but just need a little bit more experience against these teams that have been together a lot longer. They have a good average SR. They clearly know their heroes, and Fate especially is a hero that can pop off when necessary. But it's how they play as a team instead of individuals, and that's where gamers are really going to struggle. NYYRIKKI, I think they just need to keep their tempo up and make sure that they can win engagements out and play against teams that might be pound for pound better players, but maybe not quite a better team overall.
Yeah, I mean, like the dev said, like Blank said, it feels like Faded is just getting outplayed a little bit here and there. Like he's just not quite finding the opportunity. He's not quite playing as aggressively as Skipper. I really like that point. I completely agree with what we saw. That Skipper just seems that little bit more eager on taking those opportunities. He seems to be playing that a little bit more aggressively, and he's finding the picks as a result. He's playing a little bit more aggro. That could also be, you know, falling down to the tank, Leopardev and Dommel just creating space, opening the way up for Skipper to get stuff done. As like controlling space is the cornerstone of good Widowmaker play. Now, you know, we're still in a pause menu if you're wondering, where's the game? Why no game? There, you know, 1 or 2 technical issues. Yep, overtalk time. Don't worry about it, guys. And it's the first broadcast as well, so inevitably if stuff is going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong today. So it's always more fun. It's part of why I enjoy being on a first broadcast, because I like the chaos, and hopefully
Was it Murphy's Law? Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's I believe trying to remember the name of the character specifically, but there is a character in Scrubs that was called like Dr. Murphy, I think it was. So his first name was Murphy. It was based around like he was the doctor that everything went wrong for. All of his, you know, patients died and such. You spoke a bit about the Widowmaker play, and we kind of wanted to talk about the new Hanzo a little bit. I don't necessarily want to get your opinion on like whether he's good or bad, but like if you were to see actual usage from him, where would it be? Would it be on like maps like Hanamura, or what kind of compositions do you think this style of play would be used for? So I'm curious to get your sort of input on that.
On Widowmaker specifically?
On new Hanzo.
On new Hanzo? Oh god, new Hanzo. So new Hanzo irritates me an awful lot, because new Hanzo basically old Hanzo, like scatter arrow, the point of scatter arrow was used to blow up tanks. It was conventionally used on on maps where you would see the Orisas come out, because Hanzo could one-shot the Orisa. So you had that tool to destroy those Orisas. It also worked on very narrow maps like King's Row. And I think it will still apply on King's Row, because you have that sort of spam shot. You have all the targets sort of lined up in a nice confined environment in those narrow alleyways and in sort of small spaces. So if you do put that spam shot in there, you will be able to get a lot of damage output out of it overall. But I'm very vocally anti-Hanzo. I'm sorry, it's how I'm built, it's how I am. I find him a little bit too unpredictable, a little bit too random. I don't mind seeing him so much in the Overwatch League when he is brought out in sort of the more niche picks to sort of blow tanks up, for example, or control a lot of space aggressively using that ultimate. but I think he's still going to struggle for that locked-in spot compared to, we're seeing McCree more often because they want that reliable hit scan damage, they want that burst damage. So you're seeing McCree's actually starting to come out more. You're starting to see stuff like, Tracer might actually be impacted as well in the coming patch, on that same patch with the nerf to her. And that could have a huge impact on the pro meta overall because Tracer, of course, is so vital.
It feels to me like we've seen it already with gamers running like triple and quad tanks, that there is such a fine line between the game being like rip tanks, don't play tanks, they're awful, versus tanks are the only thing that you can run. It even feels it's always like dive or quad tanks that really becomes the meta. But I like this kind of state that we're in. We are seeing people come back into the game. We will be starting with Hanamura as soon as we possibly can. But it's interesting to see the different inclinations on strategies. Running a dive with a Junkrat. Can you imagine that sort of a few seasons ago trying to run something similar to that? Junkrat used to be like a joke pick. But ever since his changes, granted, both in an arena, it's come down quite a lot, but it's nice to see that he's still viable. He does have nerfs on the PTR, and I think rightfully so, but he's still going to be a really good pick. His ultimate went from one of the worst to one of the best in the game, I feel, as well. So we are going to be getting into this game as gamers are starting to push around Hanamura, trying to unsettle NYYRIKKI that are going to be sat quite far back on this dive.
It looks like they want to
really
take the high
patient as
ground.
a bit so far.
They have that Soldier 76, so getting up there on the high ground is actually pretty normal. Normally you don't see teams take this route on the offense. They normally actually go around the pagoda, go around sort of that backside with a large health pack. So this is a little bit unusual, but you do generally see this sort of standoff across the point at the moment. Sunset going to be looking for a way around, just trying to find some kind of opening as his tanks do get bounced out on the point. But Sunset just playing it very slowly at the moment, just trying to set up to get into a good location, manages to get the better of the rival Tracer. Those spots skipper out and just shuts him down instantaneously. And now this is the opening the game is well waited for. Dommels has to retreat away from all the damage on the point. Fate is going to continue just laying that pressure down as now they're going to start picking it up. And you do see Vito just popping up in that top window. Already has a Riptire. He's going to be looking for a couple of targets. Gets himself a couple of targets. Gets himself both supports, in fact. And that could actually cause the swing back here as Rocky opens up with another kill here on the point. So gamers do get bounced off. Conchal gets DMX. He's just going to take a tumble down towards Tokyo. And then we're going, oh, good lord, I think we have another DC as well. Oh, it breaks my heart.
It's a lot of gamers just DCing today. Always seems to be weekends when people have technical issues. What I will say, currently we're looking at the point, gamers have obviously lost that engagement with a minute 15 use so far. They're going to be frustrated because they made a good course to actually try and take the point and aggressively sort of hold it. But, they did get a tick. They were very close to a tick. I don't know whether we'll still get to sort of see it, but, that's frustrating from a playing perspective, right? When you give it all, you use some of your abilities and your ultimates and actually get picks, and then you still see that you haven't even enabled, one tick for yourselves. So NYYRIKKI are looking very much in control. Use the Riptide because you're going to get Riptide fairly quickly into these competitions. Beto really showing that he's a top-tier projectile player, both on the front, but most certainly on the Junkrat too. NYYRIKKI have the spot ultimates ready. They have a Diva Bomb just in case from Dommels, who has shown that he can get picks of it as well. So NYYRIKKI, are probably going to be sat quite chilled and cooled out on the point. They're taking their time. They even let gamers through the sort of first choke, which, a lot of teams want to make sure that they can put a lot of poke damage in, try and get a pick. But ultimately, they got to step back and just kind of give them a little bit of space to work with because they know that they can catch up the mistakes that gamers are going to make. And so far, on Hanamura at least, they've very much done that.
Yeah, and it's always exciting to me when there is a diva on the field that can get kills with those diva bombs, and Dommels certainly, like you mentioned, has proven the ability to do so. Now then, NYYRIKKI should be feeling pretty good at the moment. They have a lot of resources, and I definitely want to sort of re-highlight that point of, hey, Vito built that Riptire super fast. It's Riptire, it builds super fast, and I think that's going to be a constant threat going on. They have to find a way to shut down this Junkrat, because if not, he will just stay on that high ground. He will rain grenades in from above and just bounce them down, build up a Riptire, and perhaps get a couple of cheeky kills. If they can't shut it down with a Helix rocket or with something just to get rid of him, then they're really going to have a tough time closing out this points. So then, at the moment, NYYRIKKI 2-0 up in the series. They only need the one win here on Hanamura, and they will be going forward. This is Gamers map pick, but of course they are restricted to the Assault maps, so they are sort of forced onto at least one of these, and Hanamura seems to be the choice at the moment. We have seen a lot in the Overwatch League, so the strategy on it is quite well documented at the moment, so we'll see how these teams sort of manage it at the moment. We are still waiting for a disconnect to roll itself.
Speaking of which, I just lost the game, but that was for different reasons. I don't know if other people have the issue with the rendering device lost. I think that's quite a common thing that seems to happen quite a lot. bit of a rogue one, but Hanamura is actually one of those maps that I feel is so much better to watch than to play. Like, I really enjoy watching some of the matchups on Hanamura, especially you could go all the way back to the World Cup, right, with the South Korea USA game. It's weird that some of the best maps are on these on the 2CP game mode, on the assault maps. I also think of the first week. I don't know if it's the first day. I think it was the first day of Overwatch League. Dallas and Seoul on Temple of Anubis. Again, very intensive match overall, and really interested to see what teams do on this game mode, where it pretty much comes down to strategy. You need to have a good game plan of what you're going to do when you're on the point, what you're going to do if you get a pick, what happens if the enemy team pick you. You need to have all of these strategies worked out in quite a static game mode almost, because there's constantly more resets. In something like Payload or Control, it's a little bit more dynamic, it's a little bit more fluid, but that usually means more of a think on your feet. This is from a pure strategy standpoint with these teams and how they play. So very much excited to see when we get back into the game what kind of stuff we can see on Hanamura from both of these sides. Really seeing their game knowledge more than their mechanical skill, I feel, a little bit as well. So very excited to see what they try and do here. And no doubt we'll probably see the second point at some point too.
Yeah, we are getting back into the action at the moment, and as you can see on the defense, they have so many defensive ultimates at the moment. They can weather kind of any storm that's going to be coming at them. I do want to sort of piggyback on Ryan's point there on the idea that, you know, the thing with 2CP is you have to be so decisive. You have to be so, like, consistent on these assault maps. If you don't win in a really, really decisive fashion, you get bogged down into, you know, the dragged out fights on the point, those really long, sort of drawn out battles. We do see Valencia looking for his way in at the moment. We even hear the Valkyrie being used to try and get them on the point. Sunset forced with an early recall as well. Valkyrie being used to counter as well as Valencia has managed to make his way onto the point. They have established the beachhead on the point at the moment. Visor even coming out from Fate at the moment, but there's Transcendence just going to slow it down, make sure that nothing can happen at the moment. Even a couple of grenades coming through. Diva Bomb does get launched into the back line, but I think most people will be able to avoid that one. But a Riptide coming out once again. Baito going to be looking for even more. Does take a lot of damage to it, but does get one. Gets rid of the Lucio at the very least. Leopardef even starting to try and bounce people out of the window on that Winston on the point, as we do see it develop into a chaotic brawl, but this just favors the defense at the moment as they have that Junkrat just putting damage constantly, and someone triggered actually on the point as well has to be very, very careful. Does manage to survive, but does just get bounced out pretty much instantaneously as Baito continuing to rain death with those grenades, just bounce people away non-stop, and it looks like gamers will just be trying to back away, will be trying to regroup once more, and have unsuccessfully attacked once again, haven't even taken a single third.
And they don't really have ultimates ready to go. They're slowly building them up, but they won't have them quite ready for the next engagement if it starts quite instantly. To be fair, NYYRIKKI have been sat back a little bit. You see them now just start this high ground, waiting for go through, but Bayo actually get a pick onto Fated. Resurrect does come through, and this fight's looking scrappy, but NYYRIKKI just keep control of the point, sitting back quite conservatively, Josh.
Yep, Sunset has to be so careful. Took a lot of damage there on the way in. Has to try and make his way past that Junkrat at the moment. He's looking for an angle ramp, so I'm going to wait out the Transcendence, but he's just stuck in the back line. Gets Skipper at the very least, and that might have created an opening for his team. He's going to look for even more at the moment. He's so good at just finding these one clips at the moment, just hunting targets down all over the place, but they're just struggling just to flip it on the point. Baito has another Riptile, ladies and gents, and he's bringing it to the party at the moment. Doesn't manage to get the trace, though. She's a little bit too nippy, manages to dodge it out the way, and this could be the opening that gamers need. They got to make something happen now. It's just 30 seconds left on the clock. Faded managing to get the DMX. Conjure even hunting down Baito. This is just what they needed, and now with attack vibes coming out of Faded, this could be exactly what they were after as he just hunts down targets, finishes absolutely everyone off with the help of his team. We even have the Mercy just drifting around the top, but it's just target practice for this Soldier 76, ladies and gents. He knows where she is. He has her in his sights, and he's going to take her down, no problem. They flip the point, but just about in overtime.
In the nick of time, they will have 4 minutes to push this second point, and they do have a sound barrier, so they may just want to not really echo push because obviously they're using an ultimate, but just run onto the point, really force NYYRIKKI to respond with some of their ultimates that they have left over, which is the Primal Rage and of course the Diva Bomb from Dommels to self-destruct. The game is switching to a triple tech lineup, switching to the Roadhog and the Reinhardt, and they're just going to go down main. They're not going to push onto the high ground. Try and get on through, make sure that nobody gets picked off. NYYRIKKI looking for an opportunity and an actual pick here too.
Dommels gets himself one with another one of those Diva mechs. He's been so consistent in that. This is a very interesting swap, shall we say, to triple tank at the moment, playing into a Junkrat. It's not something you quite often see, and the Reinhardt especially sort of strikes me a little bit surprising. Hanamura is a map that's centralized around sort of mobility. It's very, very vertical. It's very high ground oriented. So the Reinhardt just running onto low ground seems quite an interesting choice to me. Maybe they want to get a couple of picks with this Roadhog. They're going to look for something, but meanwhile, Baito will be sitting on another Riptide. He's going to be looking to get a couple of cheeky kills with that one, and if you can find him, you could put a crimp on any attack coming forward.
Yeah, it was unlucky for it was unlucky for gamers because NYYRIKKI's bomb from Dommel was actually picking up Dika with the sound barrier ready, so already that push was kind of done. Just waste a little bit more time. Aggressive push coming out from gamers on the high ground, trying to clear it up, make a little bit of space. Faded is building up a tactical visor, so he wants to kind of stick around there, do a bit of hook damage. Beto coming in with a Riptide, gets the pick onto Impulse's Moira.
Yep, Moira gone. That's a huge amount of healing gone. Sound barrier also committed to this push as Lucio disarms a trap. Unfortunately, he managed to find it and then put his foot squarely inside it. At the moment, it's now just a couple of kills slowly cleaned up for NYYRIKKI. They're fine, just taking the time. They might even want to stall this Diva out, ladies and gents. Just make sure that, you know, she has to take a long tumble off an edge and try and get back to her team, try and regroup slowly. But it's all time burnt off the clock at the moment. It's looking better and better for NYYRIKKI as they continue on this hold. There we go. Concha finally gets the reset, but it's just taken so long. It's like an extra 10-15 seconds just out of that one single move at the moment. So NYYRIKKI looking solid at the moment, I would say.
Solid, and they have done throughout all of the games that we've seen from them. Now and again, they get caught out by gamers, but this strategy, they've already switched it up. They've realized that triple tank isn't going to quite work in their favor. They have built up a tactical visor, do have a Diva bomb. Dicker actually changing over to the Zenyatta, so a lot of changes here. Trying to find a pick more than anything, but it's so slow and so gradual that it's really kind of fallen into Beto's situation. That these bombs, these ultimates that are liberally being used by NYYRIKKI, finding picks before the fights have even started. But Impulse gets a double kill with the Coalescence. This opens the door a little bit for gamers to push on through.
But this is where the fight has to be decisive. We do see the Diva Bomb going in as well, just blows Concha right out of his neck. He's just going to drop another one in retaliation and throw it out. But there's a Transcendence on the point as well. That's just going to slow this down even more, let those respawns come back. With the spawn distance so far away from gamers, this fight is looking like the window is starting to close. They do have threat on the high ground, however, Dicker is just raining death from above, and now with the visor coming out of Faded as well, they might actually be swinging this one back. They managed to wait out the ultimates and now getting the kills that they need. They've actually managed to take control of the point. Now they're just going to start managing these spawn doors as they just continue to mount this pressure. Reaper coming out just to get that little bit of extra stall, and now it's going to be, can NYYRIKKI survive that little bit longer? But with Fated just waiting on that backline, putting the damage in, he's causing such a huge impact. Now with Transcendence on the point, is Sunset hunting down these kills aggressively. He's found himself two so far. He's looking for the third as he tries to get onto that Tracer. He wants the Diva. Now he's just putting damage in everything with the help of that Zenyatta as well. It's just no problem as he continues to put the damage out. It's slowly turning into their favor, as you would expect these respawns to make a huge difference. But that Transcendence is huge on the point, as it means that everyone can regroup now. It's going to be the turn of NYYRIKKI. They're getting the kills they need. They've managed to just smash everyone, and with 15 seconds left on the clock, there's just not much time left. Gamers might have to do a desperation touch here. They might have to send Sunset in on that Tracer just to poke it. It might be the Winston instead. Balenciaga does have that Primal Raise. It looks like it's going to be him using it. He's just going to use the Primal Raise just to bounce straight onto the point, just to make sure that that overtime does trigger. But with the Reaper on the point, he has to be so careful. Coalescence going to try to keep him alive at the moment. My eyes are on Beto. He's going to have to do so much damage here on the point. He's just going to be looking to tear people apart. You can see Balenciaga has to be so careful about his positioning here. He has to be so cautious. With some kill feeds, though, loading it with ready. These tanks are starting to overwhelm people. They managed to shut down the DPS just enough, and now it's just going to be the Diva removed. Overtime still ticking away, but the Diva bomb clears it, and they've managed to take it in the last gasp. Gamers using all the time that they had available to them.
Piece of cake overall. Gamers just waiting out a lot of ultimates. It took a while for them to really get themselves in a position where they could push on through. It was the Coalescence double kill that opened the door for them to actually fight on the point a little bit, trying to get the picks as they go through. Really well played from Balenciaga, actually coming onto the point with the Primal Rage just to stall it in overtime. The Coalescence did follow from Impulse, and they managed to keep the fight alive from there. Fated as well with the tactical visor on the high ground, as we see Balenciaga just leaving out. He's done, he's dropped the microphone, he's left as the DC takes him out of the fight. But this is, it happens. Murphy's Law, as I said before. But really, NYYRIKKI just need to finish the map with some time still left in the bank, which shouldn't be the biggest ask for them in the world with how far they've played so far. They seem to know how much space that they can take, and also with the space that gamers give them. Gamers give NYYRIKKI an inch, they gain a mile, because they have that ability to really make those advantages count. And so far in Hanamura, they held out for quite a long time, but gamers just overloading them with the ult economy when it went in their favor. because NYYRIKKI constantly kept using ultimates in those fights just to make, like a Riptire now and again. We did see the Tracer Bombs being used just to get a pick before fights went on. So gamers just went, don't use any ultimates, just run in, just keep eco pushing. We've got 5 ultimates, let's just all use them at once. Let's just really throw the kitchen sink at NYYRIKKI. And it managed to take both the points in this kind of scenario. But NYYRIKKI, I feel better than that. They could really push on through and just want to try and take this as quickly as possible, give them more time if they want to push on through. But gamers want to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I want to spend a moment as well to like highlight that Reaper pick versus the Junkrat pick. As someone who like dabbles a little bit every now and then in Reaper, I can maybe speak to this a little bit, because you expect that Reaper will be like a really good choice for anti-tank play. Like, he's actually very good on assault in general. If you manage to, like, on the offense, if you get him on the point, he's very difficult to remove. But when you're dealing with like 2-3 tanks, especially when you start hitting that sort of 3-tank number, he actually has a very difficult time of sort of getting past the barriers, getting past the defense matrix, getting past all these defensive abilities, and then turning that into kills in a very consistent and quick fashion. Well, with Junkrat, you're not actually looking at the Junkrat to necessarily kill people every so like kill people with his grenades. He's killing people with his Riptire more often than not. It's that huge burst that's so difficult to deal with that is going to be making the difference. So you're looking to those Riptires to really open things up for the team. It looks like we are back in game. Balenciaga has actually managed to rejoin. As the defense does start rolling out, we did see a Torbjorn being teased, guys, but
yeah, the
I don't think
Fate
that's
is going to
be
switch
the
to the Soldier. One thing that I did want to add about Junkrat, a lot of the big problems with him from the old days was that he never really had the opportunity for pick potential. It was just kind of spam damage and hope for the best. The pick damage, pick potential does come from his ultimate solely, so it really is trying to get those ultimates quickly. But regardless, no team's going to be running it here. Beto may be switching on to the Reaper for this kind of push, and
rush down.
As you said, yep, they're just going to try and run onto the point. The Moira spells that out as well, just holding W, pushing through this choke and just trying to fight on through, and seeing if gamers can actually try and sideswipe them as they get on by, try and find a pick, but it is going to be difficult. All of these heroes have a good amount of sustain, so they're just going to be holding and pushing back, trying to take this high ground. The gamers are kind of like, how do we go about pushing this? Because this is going to be all.
You have to be really, really careful. The tanks have to play so cautiously. I call this pump style a rush down, where you just run in, you just look for anything to fight. It doesn't matter if it's a tank, a support, anything. If you can fight it and kill it, it will be a big difference. But unfortunately, when your main tank disconnects, that could be a problem. But not for these guys. That's Balenciaga. So that's on the defense. Actually, they've lost one already. Four should come through. It should be auto-pausing. I don't know why it isn't. That's actually a little bit curious at the moment, as NYYRIKKI just continues tearing people apart here on the point. I mean, they are just going to continue to find targets and just kill them left, right, and center. Dummel's funding Concha as well on that high ground. NYYRIKKI just taking the point, and it looks like, yes, games have realized that, hey, it's caused problems. And yeah, Valencia, unfortunately, oh man, I can see the chat at the moment. It looks like they are a little bit frustrated at the moment, and they are just dropping out. Oh no, it hurts. I wish they wouldn't.
That was a good composition that NYYRIKKI run, because it just made gamers just stop. That's a shame. Like, I think it kind of runs into the issue of, like, if you're having so many technical issues, it's already looking like it's going to go in their favor. It's difficult, but this happens. They just picked an unlucky game, really.
Yeah, it's an online tournament, guys. It happens. Like, people disconnect. It's an unfortunate way to end up.
I think it's connection issues in the CIS sort of area. So, like, unlucky in their situation. Probably going to just play out and finish these games, maybe. And just try and sort of go on through. But, like,
finish it up just for the sake of finishing it up, I suppose, if they can. But it is an unfortunate situation to have happened, especially because these two teams were playing very well against each other. Like, in the open division, there is a chance, for example, to get teams that are a little bit better, shall we say, than other teams. You know, sometimes it might just be 6 people having a laugh. Sometimes these are teams looking to, go to that professional level. And that's sort of what I'm looking for when I'm sort of spectating these games. What I want to see is those teams with that hallmark of greatness. The teams that can make it to contenders, because that's what the open division is for. That's what the open division is trying to sort of filter down. And I'm looking for those teams with signs that, hey, these guys can play as a team. They understand the game. They understand ultimate economy. They know how to play their heroes, and they can get results with them. And NYYRIKKI actually seem to have that spark. They have that team play. They have that coordination, and they can make stuff start happening for them. Now, this is an unfortunate way. This is an unfortunate way to end this series with you guys. I think, we might just let it run out just as like a last salute. We might
I think it's too graphic. I think we're going back to us, because this 1 versus 6, it's kind of like the end of a film where the character is just rode off into the sunset, to fight out and finish off whatever. You don't really know what happens to them. You just know they probably didn't end well. But NYYRIKKI looking like a team that just goes from strength to strength. But like gamers now and again threw them a bit of an issue that they had to work around. But ultimately, I felt that NYYRIKKI dealt with it fairly well. That they looked like a team that was very, very well versed in what they were doing. And gamers obviously had connection issues, technical issues going through them, but would the results have been the same way regardless? Like gamers just struggled to really sort of push the game to its end, right? Because they had, they took rounds on Ilios, they had really solid pushes, they had time in the bank, more time in the bank for Dorado, but they couldn't really make the count. And it's ultimately two teams. One of them is really looking to push through. Gamers just trying to take this as far as possible, seeing if their lineup works for future stuff or whether it's just going to be a group of players that may not necessarily play together in the future. It's one of those like first week, can we make this work kind of deal.
Yeah, and Finland coming up strong as well. NYYRIKKI, it is it's an organization like Ham mentioned in the introduction. They have taken part in a couple of the Go4s. They have sort of a little bit of history behind them. So these guys do want to find that next level. They do want to sort of start stepping it up. And this
they have the players from it as well. Like Beta from NC Sports is in that tier 2, tier 3. Seen solidly, they have the connections. They probably scrim a lot of these teams that are in the high tier as well. So they really wanted to push what they can do and really want to make sure that their cause for being in contenders for season 2 is a much stronger one than last time. Gamers, I think we just need to see more. Maybe this was obviously just a bad day for them. Whether we see them in the future of the open division, other games that have been streamed here on Broadcast.gg, going to be kind of
there's a lot of teams.
We'll have a look.
There's a lot of teams. All right, guys. So that will probably do it for me and Ryan so far. We've had an absolute treat casting for you guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as much as we did. A little bit of an unfortunate note to end it on, but internet issues do happen, and it's an online tournament. So
definitely,
what can you do? What can you do? But otherwise, yeah, we've had an absolute blast bringing you this game. There'll be plenty more, though. There's another series, in fact, coming up. But first, let's round up this one with our beautiful host and our beautiful analyst as well. Guys, what did you think of the series that you managed to catch?
Oh, yeah, very generous, beauty all around. They call us the beauty twins. No, nobody calls us that. But yeah, so... It was just, unfortunately, a little bit of a caveat. What were we able to catch? Thank you so much, OAM and RyanCentral, by the way, for hopping in. We always really appreciate having you on board to cast some of these open division games. It's been a treat to listen to you two. So Blank. Let's see if we can break down this last Hanamura map. Unfortunately, I was absent for the entirety of it. Internet issues, not just striking our unfortunate friends in EU, but also here in NA, unfortunately. So but yeah, it was a 3-0 in the end series win for NYYRIKKI Esports. And I did hear a little bit about what the casters were talking about, kind of maybe just the mentality, unfortunately the mental game for gamers was kind of really put under a lot of stress due to those connection issues. Were there other things that you saw that perhaps they can work on in the future moving on in this tournament?
Yeah, it definitely looked frustrating for the guys on gamers. There was a couple of things that I did see, especially on first point that they tried to take from them. They did eventually take point A, but it was held for such a long time, went to OT. And we saw that because a lot of the times the pushes they made were very slow and careful. That might have been because morale was down, but nothing isn't good in this case because it gave Beta the chance to build up ultimate each time. Had that Riptide available, and arguably it was all on Beta to pull it back on that first push. It was going very well in their favor as they pushed around the top side, which circumvented the spam from Riptide and Junkrat himself. So it was a good push to start off with, but as soon as Beta got control of it, it was difficult from there. There was also the reasoning that a lot of the time games didn't know when to reset. This might have been because they're a new team. There's no one there to fully shot call that. So there were times when you did see a fight end after Brocky had used Transcendence, and then by the time that gamers had been shoved out, sent back to spawn, Brocky had Transcendence again. But yeah, also point B as well. This is another thing. Brocky, you've been using the as well. But at the end of the day, you've got to know that Fated has Tag Visor. You've got to hold on to that. There was times where Transcendence wasn't needed from NYYRIKKI when it could have been saved. It looked pretty dire on the second point when they got to 98.6% from taking it, I believe was the exact number. And Brocky actually used Transcendence. Yeah, didn't need to use it, and Fate managed to come back in with the Tech Visor and pick that one up. So from NYYRIKKI Esports could definitely work on using Transcendence a little bit better, or at least having tabs on the enemy team's ultimate. Just unfortunate all in all, Dicker versus the world in the end. But what can you do? Internet issues. Hopefully things like that don't happen in the future. But really well played from gamers at the end of the day. They did great against such an amazing team like NYYRIKKI. And an amazing team like themselves deserves to stay in open division. We hope to see them in.
Oh, certainly, absolutely. I mean, the issues with Transcendence, that wasn't just something that we saw from any single team. It was actually fairly noticeable on Dorado. For that third point, I certainly remember some of the little bits of game that I was able to catch. Just Transcendencies getting popped, very readily, I would say. With such an impactful support element, you might want to be using it in ways other than just like trying to get your team to engage in a fight. It's like, we can go in, I have trance, so much healing, don't be afraid, right? So I'm sure as the tournament progresses and these teams continue to gel for NYYRIKKI Esports and gamers, they get to know each other better, and you can start seeing a little bit more of that team synergy coming through. I'm sure we'll hopefully be able to catch up with them again in the future.
Yeah, definitely, I would hope to do that. But yeah, great games.
Yeah, certainly, all around. And that was a good one to start things off with, folks. And we will be bringing you another matchup for closing out our EU set just shortly. So don't go anywhere, folks. But if you are just joining now at the tail end of this set, once again, this is the Overwatch Open Division Season 2, brought to you here by Broadcast.gg. Broadcast.gg, of course, we are a community of esports amateur broadcasters. If you're interested in any aspect of broadcasting, whether it be casting, hosting, analysis, even as a producer, please feel free to find out more information. Join our Discord, which I think is available in the chat down there. But that will do it for us here. Stay tuned. We'll be bringing you Kozan versus Incognito with Rook and Val's casting right after a short break.